Uh-oh. I pressed it kind of late. If I were to guesstimate, it would have probably been about a
But
few milliseconds too late. What would you say, Sean, about
three.
2-1? It's the Shant and Ari podcast, you guys. Episode number 65. Can you believe it?
No, but I'm in my goals over here. I'm going to come up with a good intro goal, 2021 goal.
Shant, how you feeling tonight, big guy?
A little chilly. Hit 40 degrees today here in the desert.
Ooh,
So had to wear
cold.
had to wear a light jacket, which was, you
Did
know,
you guys finally turn on your heat in your
yeah,
house?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. You guys gave it a shot, see if it works.
I don't know how to use it, but we figured it out.
So just to give you a sense for how the heat works at Ani, the
Yeah.
restaurant, it doesn't actually stop. It never gets to the set temperature.
Oh, so it's always working.
It's constant.
Jesus. I hope you have a good fucking warranty on that thing.
Oh, it's a little bit. It thank God it's gas. It doesn't get
Okay.
filled up oil, and we used to have oil. So anyway, so yeah, it's a little chilly here. We're expecting about a foot of snow
Jeez.
overnight.
I don't know when's the last time I've seen snow, by the way.
You follow any good Instagram pages where they do like winter wonderland?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a complete joke. So today, it's a good one, good, exciting episode. I think we're going to talk about, because I sent you last week, and I know we touched on it, or we're going to talk about it today. I sent you my 2021 goals for a few reasons. I sent it to you to show off a little bit, kind of make you feel like shit if you didn't do one. And also just to kind of have you kind of look like be an accountability kind of partner. So that's what we're going to touch on today. But I know you said something's going on. You wanted to touch on something else. I wasn't paying attention. So if you want to let me
Well,
know.
a little bit of trouble happening in Armenia. There have been calls for the Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan to step down from his post as Prime Minister, and they've been asking him to step down since November 9th, since he basically sold off Artsakh to Azerbaijan. Now, there has been some sort of speculation as to was he or was he not pressured into doing it, or was he backed into a corner, or did he just flat out
Like, was it
give it up?
reckless? Yeah, like recklessly. And it's interesting, man. So for the people not following what's going on in Armenia, obviously we've had an episode about the war. Since then, we have had to give up our lands, and there's an interesting energy out there where there's two really heated, not heated like as far as like maybe heated, I don't know, but there's two sides, right? Where there's people who are defending the prime minister, where yeah, they're just straight out defending him. And there's a camp that says he needs to go. They need to hang him. They need to, whatever the case may be. And I don't know where you are. And I don't, if you don't have to say, I don't care. Not that I don't care, but for me, I'm a little bit always, it sucks, man. My friends used to call me fucking Sweden, right? Because I'm always like in the middle. But like I like to be in the middle until I get all the facts, right? And I know some people have more facts than I do. Some people are just playing the stuff they heard, and it's like, okay, it makes sense, so this is why I think he should go, this is why I think he needs to stay. And some people just know a little bit more about it than I do. But for me, I like to get to know both sides and listen to both arguments before I make a decision on what I feel, even though it doesn't matter what I feel, but that's where I stand. And so tell us a little bit about what's happening right now with protests and stuff like that.
So I wouldn't say that a majority of the people of Armenia are in this mindset that he needs to resign. But put it this way, the majority of the government, his opposition, and even members of his own political group have come out and said that he needs to resign. There's plans to hold which there already have been, large scale protests, and they have a plan to sort of go on strike. The country of Armenia is going to go on strike December
Wow.
21st. They're calling on the country of Armenia to go on strike December 21st, and there's a lot of noise regarding him stepping down. Now, a lot of speculation as to what could he have done? Would anybody have done anything differently? But then there's another side of the coin, which there has been chances for him to get out of the trouble that he was in much early on. Like even Vladimir Putin said that we could have even kept Shushi and other parts of Artsakh
If we
had
decided earlier
right.
to, okay, yeah, yeah, that makes sense, man. That's very interesting. So explain to me, is there how the government works in Armenia? I'm very, very ignorant to the fact of what's going on there government wise. Is it like a Democrat Republican, kind of like over here in America? Like, what is the dynamic over there?
So they have multiple different viewpoints. You've got socialist, which is all right, everybody gets taxed a little bit unequally so that there's an even distribution, even playing field, or at the very least, like a really, really good baseline that everybody gets. Then you've got sort of the Republican, which is sort of liberal, which, he has the opportunity to make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And socialists also are sort of combined with that Democrat. So basically, you could say the Democrats are the socialists or the people
Yeah.
that support social welfare,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and the Republicans are Republicans.
Hmm.
Republicans don't really change anywhere you go.
That's interesting.
There is that sort of dynamic between socialist political party and Republican, and socialist is more so on like the Democrat.
So there's been protests going on, right?
Yeah.
Has there been any violence, any rioting, anything like that?
No, it's all been peaceful, but because
Except for the first initial when they
because Nigel is a little bitch, he keeps on arresting people that are calling for him to step down. Basically, he doesn't want any sort of negative, protest against him.
he's got a little Trump in him.
Right. So I don't know. What do you think about the way that he's sort of handling it, Sean? If all these people are getting up and saying that he needs to resign,
Well, so it's hard, man. It's hard for me to say because yes, people are standing up and saying he should resign, but is it the majority? Is there because you know what it is? It's like there could always be a group making a lot of noise, look like it's a big portion. Not saying it's not, and making all this noise, but it's not really what the country really needs. So I don't know if people in his cabin and all this stuff are saying, hey, he needs to resign. I think what needs to happen, and I don't know if it's possible or if it'll happen, and if I don't think anyone's going to listen to my opinion, but there should be an impeachment process like we have here in America. I don't know how legit it would be over there, if it's corrupt, if it's not, who knows? But if they can impeach him and he has every right to defend himself and bring out the facts, maybe he was put in a corner he couldn't get out of. And if that's the case, hey, show the people and maybe the people will understand. I think there's a bunch of people that just don't care regardless. They want him out. That's fair. But I think there needs to be an impeachment process, and let's see what happened, man. Let's get all the cards out. This side is saying you did this, you're saying you did that. Let's get the facts out. Let's talk to the military leaders. Let's talk to the people in the cabinets, and let's see. But there always comes a point, happens in our democracy as well, where even the people in the cabin in his corner might want him out for a different reason, right? Like, and they're just gonna lie. I'm not saying that's the case here, but you just never fucking know with politicians, bro. That's the fucking thing here.
Right.
You'll never get a straight answer.
So my whole thing is with what you just said. Listen, it doesn't matter if he was backed into. For me, my take on this is, as a leader, if you accept your responsibility for what you did, at the very least, step down. Like, you failed ultimately in making sure that we were safe. Step down amicably and let us handle it. But no, you want to continue doing your own thing because, you've been doing great so far. I'm just pissed off that he's not letting the natural course of action take place. Any leader, any political party, any of us, if they had done whatever he did, the leader comes back and he steps down. The same way Levon Bedrosian stepped down after calls for his resignation were made. He's from that same camp, by the way.
How was he doing prior to this? And now what people are saying, like, how was he helping or hurting our country before this events happened?
He was trying to clear up a lot of the corruption that was taking place.
Was he doing a good job, or was he just saying?
I think so. I think that he was doing a pretty good job, but he was doing a lot of things emotionally. He was doing a lot of things. He was cleaning up a lot of the different things, a lot of the different garbage that gave him a lot of trouble when he was a journalist or whatever the hell he was back in the day. And he was taking a lot of revenge out on people. So the cleanup that he was doing and the westernized sort of friendships that he was casting, it was really to try and make his control over the country seem a lot more legitimate, refined, a lot newer in the school of thought. And he was leaving behind a lot of the shit that the country had already had in place, a lot of the relationships that the country had in place. So he was looking for a new sort of system to the country, and that completely backfired on us.
Yeah. But in theory, it's a good thing. I think it needs to keep happening. But yeah, I mean, it's probably so complex.
Very complex. However, the main thing is that he was doing things to try and help a very, very broken system.
Yeah, which we definitely need. Even if he is out, let's say he ends up stepping down, which he probably will have to eventually over peer pressure, but the next person, I mean, because this is how I see it. He's been in 2 years, right? Now, for the reasons you said he should step down just because of the failure, 100% agree with you on that. But obviously, it's not all his. He couldn't, like, a war is not won or lost within 2 years of being in office. That war was lost the past 30 years. I think you could agree for some part of it.
I think that it was. I think that it wasn't. It was just a matter of time until it caught back up to us. And
the past 30 years, right? Like if this war was 5 years ago, we were still losing. Whoever was in office, I feel like. I mean, maybe it could have been handled differently. Maybe it could have been less. Maybe it could have been We could have saved a few things.
You're
100% agree with
100%
you.
right. You're 100% right.
100% agree with you.
Given whatever technology we have and whatever resources we have right now, 5 years ago, and what they have had building up 5 years ago, they probably would have won the war. However, the relationships that we had 5 years ago would have probably stopped us from being put in the position of vulnerability 5 years ago. As in, Azerbaijan and Turkey may have not been able to get that far because of how sort of you know how Russia would have intervened quickly enough.
Yeah, maybe. And it sounds like it's like, from what I've heard, that sounds it. But then I've been hearing a lot of things, man, in the back where like Russia's been trying to get good with Turkey for some reason, and I think it has something to do. So I think maybe that would have been inevitable. One thing I heard, I don't know if it's true, where we had three fighter jets. Is that true? Like, is that all we have?
I didn't even know we had fighter jets.
I think we have three. Two are leased from. This is what I heard. Two are leased from Russia, so we only have, and we weren't allowed to use it. So it's like we were one fighter jet, bro. Like we had no drones. They had all the drones, no fighter jets. I mean, hard to win a war,
We were
man.
fucked.
When you don't have resources, and I think it comes back to us as the people not living in the country, because the people living in the country are not making money like people outside of the country are. So I think it's amazing that we raised that much money so fast, and I think if we do that on a yearly basis, which I think is very possible, I mean, dude, like that could fund a military pretty well. And I think we just have to keep that energy up. I think we should, like, as Armenians, we can't be divided right now. Like, America's so divided right now. Republican, Democrat, social justice versus all non-social justice. Stand for the flag. Don't stand for the flag. And it's like if you're on one side, you hate the other side here in America now, right? But people don't understand. We're all American here. Same in Armenia. If you want Nikol, the prime minister, out, you think he's the worst, but your friend thinks no, he should stay. It's not his fault. We could have those disagreements, but we can't be divided and hate each other for that. We have to come and have that same energy to keep pouring money into our country. Otherwise, we're not going to have a country anymore. And it's a sad fact. It's not like being over dramatic. We literally will not have a country anymore.
Right. I agree.
So
It's definitely been a scary year for Armenia to come to that realization that nothing is stopping Turkey or Azerbaijan or ISIS from taking all of that land.
I
There's
mean,
nothing stopping them.
because they did it and no one really cared. So it's like,
Nobody
hey,
cared.
they look, and I'm not saying people should care. I'm in the camp where like there's stuff happening everywhere, and we're not everyone's caring about what's happening everywhere. But what I'm saying is they just saw this and they're like, oh shit, nobody even.
Yeah, it's proof
Yeah.
that
So now it's like,
they
oh,
could do it again, no problem. And I
yeah.
think that they are planning on doing it again.
Didn't they break a ceasefire again?
Yeah.
Like, what the? I just want to smack their president. Just go up there and just smack him.
His fucking huge ass nose. So yeah, that
Yeah, we're not trying to laugh on the matter. It's a very serious and fucked up situation, but sorry.
yeah, so that really sums up sort of what's going on now in the country. They're trying to have Nigel step down, and in the meantime, the agenda of separating us or dividing us as a nation ultimately is taking place right now. We are divided again, and
Sucks.
it sucks. But aside from this, we'll catch back up on this next week. Very, very surprised. I keep saying it. and it was shocking to me that I saw that list that you had prepared of your 2021 goals, your vision for where you want to see yourself.
Yes.
Um, Lots of amazing things on that list. Now, besides your kid being born this year, Shant, would you say that this year for you has been just typical? Besides COVID and Leo being born, would you say that this is sort of like your typical year, nothing crazy, or would you describe it as like a pivotal year for you in terms of work and
Well, I got laid off too. So laid off, COVID, baby. Um, Actually pretty fucking, so you can't say it's like pretty normal. It's a fucking weird year.
it's been a very
But
weird.
I did hit, so I'm looking at my 2020 goals, and I hit a lot of the goals that I had for 2020.
Would
So
you So first of all, do you have it handy? The 2020 goals?
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
have 2019 on you?
Yeah, like what I wrote in 2019 for 2020.
Do you have the 2018 to 2019?
No, Betty probably has that one.
That's insane. I want to talk a little bit about that. Just that in general, about you having that and having the time to sit down and write that. So, I guess could you tell me a little bit about what that does for you mentally?
Okay.
How do you feel? How do you approach the list? Does it happen subconsciously? Or do you revisit? Can you tell me a little bit about the coming up with the list and how you refer to your list, like day to day, if you do day to day?
So I think that's a good question, man, and I want to answer that, but I think have to start from the beginning, right? Because we all have New Year's resolutions, we all have goals, right? We say we want to do something, but it kind of never works out, right? And how I kind of got into this was so in 2014 when Betty and I got married, right? We had a lot of debt. Not a lot, but we had what was it like 20 something thousand in debt, right? So we're like we got on the Dave Ramsey plan, right? But before when we got married, we sat down and we're like, what is this year's goal, right? Our goal for this year, right? And we're like, okay, we have to get rid of all our debt. We want to save X amount of money and we want to move because we were going to live with my parents to do this. We were living with my parents to get through this goal. So we wrote down the number and we wrote down what we wanted together. What usually happens, you write it down and then you just forget about it, right? But what we did is we sat down and I think weekly, monthly, whatever it was, we kept looking at it, right? And as we from 20 we got to 18,000. We're like crossed out 20. Now we're at 18. So we're tracking the progress and we're sitting together and we're doing this. And then as you're getting through it, you kind of get a little bit more excited because you're like, shit, I'm seeing this stuff happen. So, and I'm going to answer your question, but it's just kind of what we did. So we, every week, every month, we get together. Hey, how's our numbers now? Okay, we're down to this much. We're down to this much. And as you're like seeing this shit happen, you actually double down on stuff, right? That was the year, man. Like I didn't go to friends' bachelor parties. I didn't go out. People were like, "Hey, we're doing a bachelor party in Cancun." I'm like, "Nope, sorry," because you have this thing in front of you, and we're so excited and focused together. Fast forward now, and I'll let you if you have questions, I'll answer it. So you're saying, how do I come up with the goals, and how do I keep track of it? So what I do now is before the year, so like right now for 2021, I write down all the things that I didn't accomplish the year before that I still want to accomplish, right? So I write that down. Then I write down new things that I'm like, shit, I got some stuff accomplished. I got to step it up a notch. So I look at different things to step it up. And I try not to like go super crazy with like 1,000 different things, because then you're just gonna not do it because there's just so much, and you're like, fuck it. Like by January 15th, you're like, fuck this. So I try to keep them all within the same wheelhouse, right? Like it's for me, it's income, family kind of deal, and I kind of mix it with like what I'm going to do with the income. So, but what I do with that is every day I try to. I was better at it the year before in 2019 and 2020. Was I write this down every day or try to write it a couple times a week? I just keep writing out my goals. So you will see like, so like just hang on. So like you'll see I write down my goals I try to every day, but it doesn't happen all the time. So I write it down. So it just keeps reminding me that I have this thing. And then I used to have vision boards. So on a vision board, are you familiar with vision boards?
No.
So you get a little poster, but I did it nicely this past 2 years. You get a nice sheet of paper, big piece of paper, put things that I want to accomplish, but in picture form, right? So like, let's say you want to make $1 million this year, put $1 million like thing on the thing. If you want to go on a sick vacation, put the vacation picture of the vacation. If you want the Ferrari, put a picture of a Ferrari on it, make it in color, and then I laminate it, and I would just carry it around with me everywhere I go, like as far as in my work bag. So I always have it, and I could look at it, and then I'm writing my goal. So it's just a constant reminder of like, hey, you got shit to do, bro. Like, like get to it.
Do you think initially it's a little bit of a force?
Yes.
Like carrying around your vision board with you in your.
Yeah, that's why I think I made it, because usually people do a big poster. That's like the common thing, big poster, hang it up in your office. But I was always remote, so I like a nice like legal paper, nice colored pictures on it of the stuff I want, laminate it, just carry it around with me. So whip it out here and there, like look at it, fucking.
So the fact that it was always sort of with you was sort of keeping you on track, or is there more? Is there more to it? Was there a certain thing, a certain ritual? Like, okay, you would write down your goals every morning. For
Yeah.
me, that seems like a little bit of a force. For me, like what works for me is maybe one or two goals, but they serve a very, very specific purpose. I've gotten very, very bad at organizing my own thoughts to realize what my goals are. You, on the other hand, you have it sort of all laid out to the point where you're drawing yourself like a visual map
Mm-hmm.
of what you're doing. I guess maybe even simplify that a little bit more. Could you tell me a little bit about why or how you even get to that point of drawing out a vision board? Do you think that after getting married and things got serious that your vision and your goals started coming to light, or do you think that this is something that a 24-year-old kid could even come up with? Do you think that there's a level of growth that you had to go through to realize what your vision or your goals are, being able to write them down? Do you think that there is a level of maturity that you have to
No, no, because I don't think so. I think anyone could do it, right? And I don't think you have to be mature, because the type of goal will show if you're mature or like where you are maturity wise. Because like if I was 24 and I was writing goals, it would have been totally different, and it would have been stupid. Like, you know, be able to drop $10,000 in Miami or something in South Beach. Like that would have been a goal probably, right? Like it would have been stupid goals, but it would have been goals. But I think what happens is like I think everyone should do it, whether you're in corporate, whether you don't have to be a business owner. I think it's just, especially if you're married and stuff, like I think you should get down together and say, hey, what do we want to do this year? So like for me and Betty, like a couple of the years it was, have a baby, right? And it's like we were having a lot of difficulties with it. We had to pay a lot of money with treatments and stuff. So it's like we have to save X amount. We have to do this. And then it was like, so like this is applicable for anybody. It was like we wanted to redo our laundry room and our pantry, and it was going to cost like $10,000. So it's like, hey, this is the year we want to do it. It's a goal. That's not something I'm writing every day, right? But that's something together what we come up with. But why the vision board? So I think it's super cool. Someone told me to do it. So like I'm very thinking. My coach, mentor says, hey, do this. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And how it works for me, some people are visual, some people like to write, right? Some people like to see shit. So my coach would say to me every morning, the thing that you hate to do with your job, hate to do with your business, the thing that's going to try to bring you money, but we kind of hate to do it. Before you do it, take out your vision board, just look at it for like 5 minutes and just picture yourself just accomplished. You already accomplished those goals, right? So let's say you wanted to make $1 million, you wanted to have the Ferrari. Those are not my goals, but let's just say that's your goal. Picture yourself already driving the Ferrari. Picture yourself having $1 million in your bank. So now you're just a little bit in a better mood to do the thing that you don't want to do. That's why I always carried it around, right? It doesn't always work. It's a little cheesy. And writing it down, it's like, yeah, it's not for everyone. But what happens is like we always forget, oh, I'm going to lose 50 pounds this year. Yeah, but we don't do it. But if you're writing it every day, every other day, a couple times a week, you just kind of remind yourself more and you're like, fuck, man, I gotta, it's March already. Like I gotta, I gotta start moving on this. So that's why I do it. I think anybody could do it. I think a 20-year-old kid, I don't think it could be any goal, right? Like, oh, I want to graduate with a fucking B average. That's my just whatever it is. It doesn't have to be financial. It doesn't have to be for business. It could be anything.
What's important for you, Shant, when when you're talking about your goals? And has it always been that way? What is it that's important to you?
Yeah. So originally, when me and Betty first started this, and then it kind of grew into a little bit um, more of a science behind it. When I got coaching mentors and people were like, "Hey, this is how you do it. This is how you kind of maximize it." But when we first started, it was more of like a, "Hey, we want to do these few things this year. That's our goal, right? Like that's it. Short term checklist, basically like a checklist, right? This is our checklist for the year. We have to do it. It's keeping ourselves accountable." Now I look at when I'm looking at my goals right now, it's like, okay, these are the things I have to do this year that will set us up for the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. So some of them are short term, that it's just going to be short term gratification. Um, but some of them are short term hit goals for to be able to like have the stuff I want for the next 5, 10 years. So you kind of have to know what you want to be at in the next 5, 10 years. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you just kind of want to have some sort of vision of what that's good, what that looks like. So like, let's say you want 10 restaurants, right? Let's just say you want 10 restaurants. You're not going to get 10 restaurants this year, right? Like it's just not saying it's impossible. I don't want to say anything's impossible, but it's not something you're probably going to do this year.
No.
So what can you do this year that's going to help you get to 10 in 10 years or 15 years or however long it takes you? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess one of the things that have gotten in my way is like feeling overwhelmed a lot, right? It's like a control issue. Like I feel like I need to do everything, and that sort of stops me from doing anything, is because I feel like I have to do it all. And
Mm-hmm.
that kind of gets in the way of me doing anything at all. So lately I've
So
been
explain that a little more. You want because I'm sure there's people who are in your shoes. So what do you mean um you want to control everything so you don't write it down? Explain that a little bit.
not so much that I don't write it down. My problem, what I would write down on this list is that I've got to get better at accepting that not everything is going to be perfect. It's okay, and you can trust other people um, to delegate work to. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because this has stopped me from thinking a lot bigger than me, than one store, than where I'm at currently. Like in order to scale, I need to develop a system and standardize everything. And I've noticed that the reason why I couldn't do this up until now is because I didn't really have any faith in others being able to take on the job. So I needed to do everything.
Gotcha.
Now, I could never wrap my head around the very idea that you could leave your business to a manager and work on opening up more locations. That wasn't a
Yeah.
thing to me. Like I couldn't even fathom like how is Burger King doing it? You know? So
Have you watched the McDonald's movie?
no.
Watch that.
What McDonald's movie?
The founder of McDonald's.
I will.
It's a good movie.
So one of my goals that I want to work on next year is super organization. And I've been getting better at it every single day. And I've been, working on like I just started using a reminders
Hmm.
feature on my iPhone this year and got myself to
Never
stop.
used that.
Yeah, I don't forget anything now. So little things here and there that are making me a little bit better at remembering things, clearing stuff out of my head, and I want to get better at not getting overwhelmed, not having to feel like I need to do something or I'm going to lose control of it. Um, but nowhere on this list has the Ferrari been even thought about for this year at least. Nowhere
Okay.
on this list has, money, none of it. I've learned that over the past year, after giving up smoking, after giving up soda,
Those are big. Those are nice, nice little goals. Okay.
right? I've learned that after giving these things up, my brain holds a lot of power, holds a lot of, has a lot of willpower. So right now, I'm doing the OMAD diet, one meal a day.
Yep.
And it's very difficult to not eat anything for 24 hours. Very difficult.
I'm doing that with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about. It's very, very difficult, but it's, you get really,
Especially, sorry, but especially you work in a fucking restaurant.
yeah, fuck.
You're around that shit. The nice smells and like,
Oh, it's fucking terrible, man. It's the worst. So if, if you get the thoughts that come in like, oh man, I'm hungry, you should probably eat something, you should probably smoke a cigarette, you should probably, you know what I mean? It's constant, whatever feels good, your brain is going to tell you to do. Whatever feels like shit, your brain is going to tell you not to do it. And I've learned that this past year is that to actually get to accomplish something, your brain is going to dupe you into thinking that you shouldn't do it because it's hard.
yeah,
And I hate to sound like philosophical and sentimental on you, but it really is. It's your brain always wants to stop you from trying to get better or trying to do something that's outside the box. And
yeah,
the way that I've looked at this term, think outside the box, is really think outside your brain. Think outside of what your brain can fathom. Um, and this list that you've made, Shant, I respect a lot because you've got faith in your ability to do whatever you need to do this year to get closer to your goal. Nowhere on your list is there a personal development thing. You've got pretty much your willpower covered. Your mindset is very, very strong. Mine needs a lot more clarity for my goals to actually surface. So I guess the way to really attack your goals, at least for me, is to clarify exactly what you're doing it for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know what you're doing it for, then I think you've got to be very, very clear and honest to yourself what it actually means. Because I can give you a very, very good example. When I get the urge to smoke a cigarette right now, I think to myself, my goal, my intention in quitting was to try and live a longer life.
Yeah, so
A
you're
very
thinking in the
important goal.
future. You're
Right.
thinking, and that's what I said. My goals for this year are for the future, right? They're going to set us up. So you not smoking today, so when you're 75, me and you could go for a little jog and not pass out.
Right. So,
Even though I'll probably pass out now if I go for a jog, but
right. So I have that on my vision board, and I have my vision board. It's defined. The reason why I don't want to smoke or do a certain activity is because I want to live.
mm-hmm.
So if I were to say I want a Ferrari, well, it's very, very simple. You want to ask yourself, what the fuck do you want a Ferrari for? What is
Yeah.
the Ferrari going to do for you? And this past year, I've come to the realization that Ferrari's really not going to do much for me. It's more of an accomplishment. It's a trophy of what I had to do in order to get there. A lot
Yeah,
of
but
things this year.
yeah, that's a lot of things. But also like where a lot of people there's a couple of ways you could kind of screw up goals. Now the Ferrari, it's not going to be like it could be a goal for you, which it's always kind of has been, but it's not like this year, right? Like it's not going to happen this year, but it could be for the future. So, because what I always tell people, man, 'cause some people, let's say you're making $100,000 a year, right? And I know there's people who are like making 100,000, and they're like, my goal this year is to make 500 or 600,000, and it's like, okay, you know, that's not really realistic from like going from 100 to 5 or 100 to a million. It's pretty unrealistic. So it's like you're setting yourself up to fail. So one thing is like make it an attainable goal, not like an easy goal, but like if you made 100, say I'm going to make 250, where it's like fuck. The other thing where I think people mess up on, and I have, so what I do is I have my goals for the year, and then every day I kind of write. So the other thing people forget, and this is what I'm trying to get at, is say your goal is to lose 100 pounds or your goal is to make $1 million. That's cool that you just write that, but it's like, what are you going to do? What are the steps to get there? And that's kind of my daily thing when I write it. It's like, oh, I'm the best cold caller. Like I make 100 calls a day. I write that down to like, because that's what's going to help me get to my number. So little things like that, you want to make sure you have it written out. Like, what are you going to do to get to that goal? You can't just write a goal and say, cool, I'm going to make 1 million this year. Okay, how are you going to do it?
How are you going to spend more time with Betty and Leo?
Yeah, so I wrote that down. It's so try to have a date night with Betty once a week. And then put for Leo, it's put Leo to bed every night. Make sure I'm there to put him to bed every night. So that's at least I'm getting that with him.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's it's like an hour process, and I'm spending that time with him. So
that's something new, the
yeah,
date night thing. Well, obviously, post Leo.
yeah, fucking kid takes up all the time.
Good. So, in essence, you're making is this for you a micro step or a macro step? The whole date night slash put Leo to bed. Would you consider this a step towards um, other new activities? That obviously you're going to have other new activities with Leo.
Yeah, yeah, not new activities, more like so for the future. Because I always look at if I do this, how's it going to help? So if doing the date night's going to help me and Betty have a better relationship, right? as we grow older. And then with the Leo, it's like I want him to know his dad, right? Now, with me and my dad, I knew he was home every night. It's not a big deal. But I know a lot of people who own businesses, and I've heard those horror stories where they never see their kids.
Mhm.
So I don't want that to happen. So I'm like, okay, I want to at least be there every night for him. And obviously some nights it's not going to be every night 365, but at least make it a mission that like I'm there as much as I can be.
Wow. So, like, my goal for next year is to try and get down to 165 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm 182 pounds right now.
Why do you want to get down? Just bulk up, bro.
I gotta lose some fat.
Mm.
My face and stuff like
And
that.
then like another goal could be not saying, I don't know if she's listening, but it could be like, oh, get engaged to my girlfriend. Not saying you, just saying somebody in general.
Yes.
You
I
know,
got you.
it could be just anyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Or if you are engaged, it's like, oh, we want to get married. So not this year, but like the year after, but we have to have this much saved. So it's like, that's what Betty did before when we got married. She had a goal, have to have this much saved, you know, and she fucking went at it like an animal. So these are things, man, like anything, it could just be anything. It doesn't have to be business, it doesn't have to be money. It could just be, for me, a lot of it is monetary right now.
Well,
But
yeah, you've dedicated so much of your time to get to where you are mentally.
it could also be, which last year I had this goal. I kind of should put it back on and still have time to add stuff to my goals, but you know, read X amount of books. You know, that's a good goal.
Yeah. I like that too. I think I want to put mine on too. And not just audiobooks.
Like read.
Yeah, yeah. I did that on the flight to Arizona. I read a book. It was pretty long book too. I read it for the whole flight. And I think I still had about 100 pages left. So I think it's really clarifying my vision as being a part of my vision board. Yours is more, you've got your vision and you have it there already. I guess for some of us, it's wipe down your whatever is in your vision, make it clearer before you actually write down a vision board or a goals list. Sort of figure out what it is exactly that you even want out of life.
Mm-hmm.
Because after this year, things definitely got clearer for a lot of people what their priorities should be. I had a Porsche this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I could tell you, yeah, it was very, very cool. But in the greater scheme of things, it really did not do much in terms of how self fulfilled I felt.
Interesting.
So, a lot of different things can happen. A lot of people can die in 1 year. A lot of things can be taken away from you. A lot of freedoms can be taken away from you. A lot of shit happened this year. So if you don't have a clearer vision that came about out of this year, I think that you really got to reconsider
Yeah.
what is important to you.
Yeah. That's no, I you know
COVID
what?
made me quit cigarettes.
You should have you heard of the 75 hard?
No,
Maybe we should do it this year.
what's the 75 hard?
All right, I got to think about if I want to do it, but if you do it, maybe I'll do it. So it's a 75-day straight challenge, right? So 75 days, you follow a diet. So it'd be like the Nomad or OMAD. When OMAD, 2 45-minute workouts a day, 3 critical power list tasks. I'll get more info on that. Every day, 5-minute cold shower.
Fuck that. I'm
one
automatically out.
1 gallon of water, 10 pages of reading, no alcohol or cheat meals for 75 days, and 10 minutes of dedicated visualization. So like get your vision board and just look at it for 10 minutes a day.
The cold shower thing, you lost me.
It's not that bad. I actually was doing that for a while.
No.
Dude, there is nothing. Okay, so I used to do, I don't know why I don't do. See, like, it's so fucking weird. You do things, it's so amazing. It makes you feel good. You see results, but then we stop, right? So,
You don't
dude,
live
I
in
was
New England. Shut up. Just stop.
just, but I was doing the cold shower, dude, in the mornings. Dude, it's like a jolt of energy. Your fucking mind is like, it's powerful, man. It's fucking powerful.
You do that and you leave and you're in like a 75-degree weather, 80-degree weather. You're not stepping out into
No.
26 snow, wet feet. So yeah, I'll think about it. Maybe some components of that missing from it, but that sounds a little bit too extreme.
Hey, that's how are you going to do your goals this? Are you going to do goals this year?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Written
But
down.
yeah. I'll have my goals written down by next week. But like I said in the beginning, I have my goals as more of a personal thing, working towards them, half personal development, half work related. Not even half work related, maybe a third work related, because right now things are just very unclear what my long term goals are. I got to
And
really,
it's fine. Sometimes if you don't have the long term, it's just like, what do I want to get accomplished? This year, man, like
yeah,
fucking take a cold shower. I don't know. Maybe
so
that could be a goal.
no. I've got a lot of long term desires in life, but long term work related goals and how I plan on achieving them, that's very much unclear. Um,
Well, sometimes you don't need to know how you're going to get it done, man. Sometimes you just got to put it on paper and you'll start seeing it.
I agree. I'm going to do that. I like the whole paper idea, pen to paper, and
Yeah,
reading
man.
actual books.
Because one of the goals I hit this year, I didn't think it was going to happen. And you just put it down, man, and just not saying it's going to fucking magically appear, but like things start happening, dude. Things start happening.
That's what I'm saying. It's insane. This year for me has been kind of wild too. It's been kind of crazy. So I'm definitely with it. Uh, I like it. I like the idea of it. Manifestation. It's good.
Yeah, and if anyone's still listening, if you made it this far, like, do you do goals? Do you write down your vision? Do you have a vision board? Like, what do you do? Does it help? Do you say it's stupid? Do you think it's fucking just a waste of time? Um, let us know, man. Send us a message, write a review, 5 stars.
Thank you to our sponsor for today's episode.
BAC.
No. Who can we have as a sponsor?
Tree.
Post-it notes has sponsored. I'm kidding. No, really though, clarify the vision, write down the vision, keep up with your vision.
2021's got to be a better year, man, for everyone. So,
I mean, like, I don't know how it could get worse. Like, the chances of it being worse.
I saw a funny meme, which is fucked up. It was like, you think 2020 was bad? Wait till we hit 2021 and they could finally drink alcohol and get shit faced. It was like kind of something along those lines. Where like now it's gonna turn 21 and be able to drink and get shit faced. So,
That's funny. That was a good one. But yeah,
all right, well, I gotta go write some goals down, and
I'm gonna go and think about writing some goals down real quick.
all right, Adi.
All right, Shant. Good
Good
night.
night.
Sorry, I missed that one.
Yeah,
Good night,
fuck.
Shant.
Good night, everyone.